What if the secret to feeling your best isn't about counting every calorie, but about trusting yourself instead? Today, we want to ditch the diet culture and learn about intuitive eating. Hi, everyone. It's Natalie. Have you ever felt stuck in the cycle of dieting? You know what I mean. Counting calories, following food rules, and still never feeling good enough. Well, research shows that 95% of diets fail long-term, and 2/3 of dieters regain more weight than they actually lost. Yo-yo dieting isn't just frustrating. It's actually linked to higher risks of heart disease, slower metabolism, and increased cortisol levels, which, did you know this? That can actually make your weight harder to manage. Meanwhile, intuitive eating, an approach backed by over 125 peer-reviewed studies, that's associated with better metabolic health, lower stress, reduced binge eating, and higher body satisfaction overall. So instead of obsessing over every little bite, and many of us do this, intuitive eaters, they trust their hunger and fullness cues. That leads to healthier relationships with food and a better relationship with your own body. So today I'm sitting down with Amber Abila, a nutrition coach who broke free from diet culture, and now she helps others do the same thing. We're going to talk about why restrictive diets simply don't work. We're going to talk about healing from food guilt and what it really means to listen to your body. If you're ready to stop fighting food and start feeling your best, well, this is the episode that you're going to want to listen to today. And if you find the episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, give me a rating. That helps spread all of this goodness to other people. And while you're at it, head to NatalieTysdal.com, sign up for my newsletter. You'll get a lot more information there. Thanks so much for listening. Let's get started. Amber, nice to have you on the show today.
Thanks, Natalie, for having me. I'm so excited to chat.
Well, it's an important topic because so many people have lost their relationship with food. And I love this term because I think it's what we've gotten away from, and that is intuitive eating. And many women in particular, I'm sure men too, but since we're talking about women, struggle with when am I full? When am I hungry? Because their relationship with food is out of whack.
Yeah, absolutely. In my journey with food, I was dieting for a long time. I think as a lot of women can relate, they think the solution to losing weight and being healthy is going on a diet, but diets really teach us how to follow an external rule versus our internal wisdom that we are all born with. When we look at babies, they're the perfect example of intuitive eaters, where they start eating when they're hungry and then they stop when they're full. They don't worry about how much milk is left in the bottle, how much that meal costs them, if their food is really good or not really good. They just kind of eat and then they stop when they're done. And babies are also really good about choosing foods that are naturally nutritious, and they know will fuel them and have the right nutrition for what they need in that moment. But as we go through life and we're taught diet culture and we become a part of this idea that as women, it's almost like our life goal to lose weight and to make sure we keep our body in check. And then we start to stray away from our internal wisdom. And so for me, I started with calorie counting, which sometimes people think is not a diet. It's like, well, I can eat anything within my calories, but it's still taking away our wisdom of eating when hungry and stopping when full, where I would say, oh, I have more calories today, so let me just keep eating even though I'm not hungry. Or, oh no, I don't have enough calories, so I'm just going to stop even though I'm hungry.
Yeah, and we also have the things available to us. Like, talk about babies, it's like they are given the perfect thing, especially if they're breastfeeding, they're given that perfect thing, but we have all of these things available to us. And it's like, well, I can have that perfect thing that's over here that's healthy and balanced. But then right at my fingertips is the fast food and the fried food. And we have the options, which really messes with us. Are you ready to launch a side gig, maybe a small project or business? Need a professional logo that won't break the bank? Looka is the AI-powered logo maker that's perfect for entrepreneurs and freelancers. With Looka, you can create a stunning, unique logo in minutes without breaking the bank. Just answer a few simple questions about your brand and watch as Looka generates hundreds of custom logo options. It's like having a team of professional designers at your fingertips. So why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? Visit natalietysdal.com/favorites and start creating the logo your side gig or your small project deserves.
Right, totally. What's interesting though is they have actually done studies with kids, and if you give them a wide range of food. So there was one study, for example, that it was an owner of an orphanage, and she decided to take this group of babies at the time and give them the wide variety of foods with like all these different things. One of them, she gave liver paste and then orange juice and salt in, but she put all these foods out in front of them for every meal for like 4 years. And what was interesting is they naturally and intuitively chose the things that they needed. So one of the kids had a bone disease, and it naturally chose the liver paste, which had nutrients in it that were going to help its bone disease. And then when one of the babies was sick, it naturally chose the orange juice more and to get its vitamin C. So like our body actually knows too the nutrients we have. But as you mentioned, there weren't Oreos and goldfish and fast food thousands of years ago. So for that, that's usually like the biggest thing that I come into contact with people is like, well, how do I deal with all these processed foods? And that's something that I always struggled with in my journey as well is, okay, like, if I'm going to eat healthy, that's great. But like, I have all these cravings for all these other foods too. And for that, the truth is these foods in and of themselves are not necessarily addicting. And how we know that is because if they were, everyone in the world who would ever eat them would instantly feel addicted. And that's not the case. We see these people sometimes, these natural eaters that I call them, they'll have like a half of a cookie and then they'll forget about it and move on. Or they'll leave like 3 chips in the bag and then like keep them in the cabinet. And then we get mad at them, like a partner of, oh my gosh, why didn't you just not finish the chip bag? It's almost gone anyways. And so it shows that we still do have this wisdom inside of us that can navigate even these other eating decisions. But what often happens is our brain has been wired by diet culture, and we have all these different thoughts around, well, I don't know when I'm going to get chips again, or diet's going to start Monday, or I better be good. And that's actually usually the driver of the overeating and binge eating around these foods.
Yeah. And we just get caught up in that thought, exactly what you said. We get caught up in this thought of, but I might not get it again. Boy, this is the best. This is right in front of me. And what if I don't have it later? I better have it now. So let's get to some tips for getting around this. I have a scale that is a hunger fullness scale that I did a podcast on, and people love this. And do you have something like that where how you really begin to eat intuitively?
Yeah, for sure. The hunger and fullness scale is a great tool. And it sounds like you have great research for it. You can literally Google too, hunger and fullness scale. There's a lot of different variations of it. Find one that works for you. But one thing that I think is important to note is if you feel like you're having a hard time listening to your hunger and fullness, we need to do a lot of unlearning around the diet culture first, because you've been taught these messages around you can't trust your body because you're probably going to overeat, or, you shouldn't be hungry right now. It's too soon to eat, or you shouldn't be full yet because you haven't gotten enough and you're eating like a bird. So when we have all these messages that have been ingrained in us that we've learned, sometimes our mind can take over our body. And a lot of people say like, well, I just can't trust my body because it's going to tell me to overeat. Like anytime I try to do it, I just go way off the hunger scale and I just continue to eat and eat. And a lot of times that's because people are actually listening to their mind and not their body. If we listen to our body, it's probably telling us, hey, you're full and there's some signals coming up. But our mind has so much drama built into it that we can't actually listen to it. And so something that was huge in my journey was understanding urges. And our urges are this strong feeling and craving that we get right before we do a habit we don't want to do. So I used to describe it as I had this out-of-body experience where I felt like a ghost and I was in the cabinets. I would just eat and eat and eat, and I didn't come back into my body until I saw the wrappers around me. I was overly full and I was like, oh my gosh, Amber, what just happened? And so because of that, I was having a hard time listening to my body. And what I learned about urges that really changed everything for me is that our brain is really good at forming habits, right? Because habits are how we stay alive. It's how our brain makes things as easy as possible. And so we get into a habit of overeating and binge eating. And that's what really helped me see, hey, I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just our brain is really sensitive to any changes in food and our intake around it. And so when it senses, hey, you're trying to make me eat less right now, even if that's something good, like stopping at fullness, it will say, well, I don't want to do that because that might mean I'm going to die. And that's how it would literally feel to me when I got an urge is I might die if I don't eat food right now. And so when I had all these urges happening in my brain, I wasn't actually able to properly tune into my hunger and fullness. So in my program, I don't teach hunger and fullness actually until month 4, because if we try to listen to it right away, that's where we might find that we're having some difficulty tuning into our body.
Well, and I'm curious so at month 4, you're listening to your body, but if you're not eating the right things, and this is where I want to dive right now. So if I'm eating crap, I'm going to be hungry soon. So although I'm listening, my body is hungry, but that's because I didn't eat things that are filling me up properly.
Absolutely. And that's a big part of it, is noticing how the food feels in our body too. So if you check in with just love and curiosity and being like, oh, I noticed how when I had, just ice cream for lunch because we were out and we were doing things, and then how I got hungry an hour later and it really did not last me. And now I feel like I need actual more food, or I'm craving foods even more. We want to take that as information and say, okay, now I know. And now we have more information and wisdom around what our body is telling us. Because we don't really need someone to tell us eating ice cream for lunch is bad for us and we're going to make us feel bad. We have that intuitive knowledge and we can feel into our body and say, oh yeah, I'm getting these blood sugar highs and these blood sugar lows, and that doesn't feel good either.
Yeah.
So with that, I think curiosity is a big, important aspect to this, of making sure that you stay really curious on what is my body telling me and what are these signals? And a tip I would say, if you're having trouble navigating, what does my hunger even sound like? What does my fullness even sound like? Sometimes we're used to only the extremes of where we're super hungry or we're super full and we don't know what a normal level of hunger and fullness sounds like. So I want you to think about a time where you've been really hungry, where you're like, yes, I know for sure I was hungry. I felt this, I felt this, I felt this. Maybe it was some tightness in your stomach. Maybe you felt really fatigued. Maybe you felt a little dizzy. Like when you get really hungry, what do you notice? And then we can find, well, what's the smaller version of that? What's the more moderate version of that? And it's like, well, maybe I start to feel a little more distracted at work. I don't feel like dizzy, but I feel a little bit more fatigued and a little bit more out of it. Or maybe I start to notice like a little tightness in my stomach. It's not a tight growling, but it's like a little bit. Okay, that's your cue for hunger. And then same thing with fullness. Maybe you only notice fullness when you have that extreme stretch feeling and you're feeling really bloated and it feels really heavy. It's like, okay, how could you feel that middle ground? Maybe where it doesn't feel heavy, but you notice a little bit in your body. You notice your stomach starting to feel stretched, or you notice the hunger isn't so strong anymore, and using that as a guide for your signals.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. What else do you give? Do you work with men and women?
Yes.
So what else do you give them in starting to notice these things and getting ahead of the issue instead of, you mentioned all these extreme things. Like for me, it's like you just get mad and you don't know why, that hangry. And then you eat terribly because you're not thinking straight.
Yeah, I think another thing is really checking in with your body throughout the day. So if we are used to just going all day and barely eating, like a lot of people who are binge eating, I'll see them come into me and it's like, okay, I had a coffee for breakfast and then I had a quick protein bar for lunch and I had to go get the kids. And so I had a bag of chips on the way and I got home and I was so starving. And so sometimes when we are really stressed, we don't even recognize that we're hungry because our stress is basically, to our brain, any sort of stress means there's danger. There's danger and we better prepare to get ready for that danger and fight and do something if we need to. And when we're in that state, we're not functioning properly in our digestive system. And so our digestive system can actually shut down when we're in stress mode, fight or flight all day long. We're at work, we're going to get the kids, going. And so it's really helpful to just pause a couple times a day and just say, okay, let me just take even 3 deep breaths right now and just check in with my body. Am I hungry? Do I need anything? Do I need to stand up and take a break? Do I need to go get water because I haven't drank water in the last 4 hours? And really just giving yourself like a micro self-care moment. It doesn't have to be taking 30 minutes to go around the block and do some stretches. It can just be a couple moments to check in and say, okay, where is my body at? And what that can help you do is get to the point where you're not extremely hungry at the end of the day, because that's oftentimes when binge eating happens, is we're so hungry, we haven't checked in all day, we're stressed, and then we start eating and our brain says, food, I haven't had food all day. Let me keep eating, let me keep going. And so sometimes it can feel scary at first. I know for me, I was like, I'm really nervous to eat more food during the day because doesn't that mean I'm going to gain more weight? But the truth is if you're overeating at night, you're probably already eating more food than you want to. And sometimes beefing up your meals earlier in the day and checking in. Maybe I have a bigger breakfast. Maybe I make sure I actually block off my calendar for a real proper lunch and I have lunch. And then you might realize, oh, now I'm not snacking on those chips at 9 p.m. or I'm not raiding the cabinet for my kids' snacks. I'm actually able to sit with these urges for food and have them pass by because I fed my body throughout the day too.
How big of an issue? I know this is an issue for me and for a lot of people who don't even recognize emotional eating, where you're reaching for something for that dopamine hit because I just need something. And it's not hunger, it's emotional eating.
Mm-hmm. That thought right there of I just need something, I was writing it down because it's like that thought alone is what can cause you to go to food. Because if you think I just need something to get through this, I just can't handle this, then you're going to need something. You're going to be building desire with your thoughts for that food. And this is something that people will do is they say, like, this emotion is so hard to handle. I just can't handle this. I need a break. The food is so good. It's going to be so pleasurable. And we might not even realize we're consciously telling ourselves this, but unconsciously, that's what's happening in the background. So something that I think makes me a little bit different is I think, yes, it's really important to learn how to handle our emotions and to do things like emotional regulation and going for walks and doing deep breathing. And those are definitely tools I teach my clients and I use myself. But I think something that I never really hear people talk about is how to just sit with the emotion in and of itself. And what I mean by that is when you're stressed, or let's get more specific here. Let's say you're angry at your kids because you came home and the house is a mess and you just had a super long day at work and you're feeling really angry and frustrated. In that moment, yes, it might be nice to take a few deep breaths, to go take a moment to yourself in your bedroom, but maybe you're on your way to your kid's soccer game and you don't even have time to take that few seconds to take those few breaths. What we want to do then is just us accepting in the emotion. And that can just look like saying, I'm feeling angry right now, and that's okay. It's this end of the sentence, and that's okay, that breeds acceptance. I'm feeling really stressed right now, and that's okay. I'm wanting to eat right now, and that's okay. And saying and that's okay doesn't necessarily mean we're going to go eat, but it's just accepting that the desire is there. This is something that I do with urges too, because what the two biggest mistake I see with urges is people start to fight them or they get angry with them. And this is what we do with emotions too. Urges are ultimately this emotion of over desire. It's too much desire for food. It's desire for food beyond the level of hunger we have. So when we get these urges or an emotion and say, I can't handle this, this is too much, I'm surprised that this is coming up, then we go into ultra panic mode and then we grow the emotion, it gets even bigger and then it becomes even harder to sit with. So for urges, I have an urge audio that I'm going to give you for the show notes. It's free and it's going to walk you through how to sit with this, but you can also use this for emotional eating too. So if you're having a strong emotion come up or you're really angry, I'll walk you through how to sit with that and how to visualize getting through it so you can really calm yourself down in that moment. So that's something you can actionably do. But again, having this thought of I'm angry and I'm okay, I'm feeling this way and that's okay is the first part. And the second part is going into your body. So how we process any emotion is by noticing how we feel. Noticing where is this sensation in my body? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it fast? Is it slow? That brings us out of the drama of our head of I can't handle this. I just need something. This happened today and I can't do anything else anymore. And brings us into our body and says, you know what? Right now, I'm feeling some fastness in my chest. It feels a little tight. It feels red and hot. And you know what? I can handle some tightness in my chest. I can handle a little red hot sensation. And that becomes so much easier to manage then.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing and that I really like is just starting to identify instead of reaching for that box of chocolates or whatever it is. Just stop, identify. I think we can all do that. It can be hard, but that 10 seconds of why am I feeling this way? I shouldn't be hungry. I'm mad. I'm frustrated. I'm tired, but identifying it. And I really love that. And that's okay. That's normal. We all have that. Yeah.
Right. It just
good
space for it.
Yeah. Hold space for it and identify it. Because how often do we just move about the day and we don't even identify that feeling or that emotion?
Right. Exactly.
Any last tips, things that you want to be sure people get that you can leave them with that they can do today? Leave them with something today that they can do to improve themselves and start to identify their hunger, their fullness.
Yeah, I mean, I think we gave a lot of awesome little things that you can implement today. So I'll just kind of recap some of the things that I think are important, which is one, really starting to slow down throughout your day, maybe taking actionable pauses where it's like, okay, I'm going to pause and I'm going to check in, maybe even writing down, printing out a hunger scale, writing down where you are on that. You can set timers on your phone of every 30 minutes, just checking in and being like, where's my body at? Am I hungry? Do I need food? Do I not need food? Do I need something else? And the more awareness we can build, the easier it gets. I know so often we hear that awareness is the key to change and it's the first step, but truly it is, because if we are not aware of what's going on and we can't see, oh, this is where I actually want to change, we can't light up that brain pathway of where we actually want to change. It's just like an abstract concept of, oh yeah, I'd like to stop overeating. I'd like to stop binge eating, but there's nowhere we actually can change, as opposed to like, oh yeah, I'm noticing how every day at 3 p.m. I'm getting this urge to eat and it feels like this in my body. And I'm noticing that these are my thoughts that I have and this is what usually triggers it. Then we have so much more we can work with and you can start to grow and change from.
Yeah. And I might add that you can try, and I talk to so many women who try every single diet out there, but if they're not identifying these things, that's probably why the diet or whatever plan they're following is failing. You can have that perfect amount of food and all of that, but if you're not in touch with these feelings in your body and these emotions and all of these things happening, that's why every plan is hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Because all diets do is show you the what to eat. It tells you to do this, this, and this, but it's not questioning, why am I eating in the first place? Am I hungry? Am I not hungry? Am I stressed? Am I bored? What else might be coming up here? And that's what really takes like the insider change perspective that makes it last long term versus just here's a plan that everyone could follow, but it's not really personalized to you and what your body needs that day.
And then you don't feel as much like a failure when that plan didn't work for you and you're wondering why. So you jump on to the next plan. Yeah. Amber, thanks so much. I'm going to be sure that I put your contact information. I've got all of that in the show notes for anyone who wants to reach out to you or go to your podcast and your website. And your podcast is called
Become a Confident Eater.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you today.
Thanks so much, Natalie.
Thank you for joining the Natalie Tysdal Podcast. You can follow along on Instagram and at natalietysdal.com. Subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave a review so I can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next week.